Hello, friends. Welcome back to another episode of Jonah and the Pod. Today, we have a very special guest, someone that I have just spent a whole 8 days with.
Yep.
And I'm already sick of him. I'm joking.
So then you decided to invite me to a podcast.
So this episode is actually, first of all, everyone, welcome Marco.
Hello. Yes, clap for me, John.
Marco has been on the podcast before, and I would recommend that episode. He has a very interesting and powerful story. So if you haven't watched that, go watch that. I can't remember the title or anything like that, but it is what it is.
Yeah, me neither. Go find it.
Marco and I were just on a trip because Marco is getting married soon.
Mm-hmm.
And he had his Bucks party. If you don't know what a Bucks party is, it's the party before you get married with the guys. It's usually intended for paganism. But we did not do that, I can assure you.
Yep.
But yeah, we went to Bali for a week, and it was an interesting trip. Obviously we had a lot of fun, but it also opened our eyes to a few things. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. Before we get into it, do you have anything to say about the trip or anything before I ask questions and we start chatting?
Well, we went away for a week, like you said, to Bali. And like you said, this trip was interesting because, yes, we did have fun. We did a lot in that time. But I think the biggest thing for me was what we're about to talk about. This was pretty much the biggest takeaway for me. So
maybe just lower the mic so we can see a bit more of your face. And just bang.
Didn't work. I tried.
Yeah. Okay. So Bali was interesting.
And
the reason why it was interesting is because we saw. I've traveled quite a bit. This is like your first time traveling ever since
ever since I was a kid. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is like your first time traveling, and you probably opened your eyes
overseas.
As well. Yeah. Sorry, overseas.
Yeah.
And what was interesting is the difference between, I guess, the way we live and the way that they live. And if you don't know Marco and you don't know myself, we have a very, very similar heart, I guess. Like our passion is to probably help people in the best way we know how, and that it might be different for the both of us, but we still have a similar goal in that aspect. So when we look at these things, it's like there's part of us that is upset when we look at people that aren't as privileged as we are or anything, but it also gives us, okay, what can we do?
Yeah.
So I guess let's give some context as to what we're talking about, because we're being very whatever the word is. But I think I want you to talk about this the most because like the context, because I feel like you had more conversations with people and stuff like that.
All right. Put it into perspective, I guess. Bali, or Indonesia as a country as a whole, is not a first world country. They're not rich by any means. Most people there, especially the locals, obviously, most people there live just day to day pretty much. And it's a very, very busy area, especially the areas we go to there, like tourists go to. So like Seminyak and places around there is very, very busy. And to put that into perspective, it's like, maybe would you say like 2 to 4 times busy, like busier in terms of like travel times?
Right, yeah, like the traffic and stuff.
The traffic, yeah. Like it's a busy area, and there is a point to this. The reason I'm saying this is because that there's so many people there. Everyone's trying so hard to work to make a living, but there's a lot of people, and there's only so much work, and so much work that is, well paying. So yeah, there's a lot of people. Most people there live in poverty. So like the places you and I would go to, the tourist attractions, the restaurants, the activities, most people there have never been to those activities. If, like our driver, for example, his name's Dana. We're probably going to talk about him a fair bit, so we may as well introduce him. So we had a driver there. His name was Dana. He had a family. He was married with one kid. She's 22, I think she was, something like that. Still living at home with them. Dana was actually a lot better off than a lot of other people there. He had his own house. He wasn't paying rent. His daughter was also working. His wife works. She has a shop that sells handbags and other things like that. So they were pretty well off for Indonesia. But yeah, so obviously we spent a lot of time with Dana, and he was, and yeah, so Dana, what was I going with this? I completely forgot.
The people's living situation, and like, it's a. I don't know.
We're so tired. Hey?
We got back yesterday.
Literally last night. No, but the thing is, there's so much we want to talk about, but we're trying to like condense it and like give it in a way that makes it as portray it in the correct way.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Dana was a lot better off than other people, but he had to work. Oh, I know where I was going with this. He had to work. His wife works, and his daughter works, lives at home. They own their own home, yet still he had most of the things we did, he had never done himself. And he was telling us that the furthest he's been is to the entrance to the car park at the front, just to drop people off. So, and that was so sad to us. Like when we heard that, from pretty much from that day on, we were like we couldn't go and do these activities and just have him waiting for us outside. Like it was so sad to us. And I think that was the biggest thing for me, was realizing that we've come to a, I don't know, second world country or third world country, whatever it is, where people are so much less fortunate than us, and we want to go there and have fun and be tourists when they can't do any of this. And it's just like, I remember once like thinking to myself, like, I wonder what these people think like to themselves when they see us. Like, would they be like, oh, I wish I could go and do this, ATV adventure, or enter this activity or whatever. Do you know what I mean? And it just made me so sad. So
even like the place, the restaurants we ate at and stuff like that, like they've never experienced it.
No, they've never.
They'll try and find food for like $2 or whatever it is, when we were spending too much.
That's literally what he said, actually. Yeah, I remember that. He's like, his usual, meal is like $2.
Yeah.
Which even then is probably like a fair bit for them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like not to even be able to experience the things in your own country. Like they've been living there their whole life, right? Like imagine, put it into perspective with us here. Like pretty much everything in Sydney, or if not everything in Sydney, would be able to do if we really wanted to. Like you could, let's say something's really, really expensive, you could still save up for it for a bit and then do it, right? Whereas their whole life, they're working, they have a family working as well, and they still can't afford it. And that kind of like started to get us thinking, I think. Yeah.
Just for context of, I don't know if it's just Bali or Indonesia itself, but the demographic is 90% Hindu, like 5% Muslim, 3% Christian. I can't remember the exact.
And 2% was the rest.
The rest,
so,
yeah. So it is a majority Hindu country, which I do want to bring up, because I don't know if we're going to get into this, maybe we will, but just from hearing conversations that Marco had with Dana and whoever else, they're just chasing money, even though they don't have much of it. It's like their whole life is revolved around money. Yeah, it's very interesting, because it's like everywhere you go, it's the same thing. It's money is the god, and that's what's going to bring us happiness. That's what's going to And Marco had a very good conversation with Dana about this. But I also want, like, maybe for more context, the conversation you had with Nasus. So there was so me and Marco were destroyed one night.
Just one night? Yeah.
We were just wrecked. The other boys went out, but me and Marco stayed home, and we weren't feeling the best.
Yeah, physically, mentally, we were just drained and sore.
Yeah. So we're just like, you know what, let's just get massages. So we like people come to our house and actually give them massages. Like,
just crazy.
It's crazy. I fell asleep during mine. But Marco,
I had a very different experience. Okay. So this was very interesting because that night I was, like Jonah said, I was not feeling well at all. I was very, very tired. Like I was feeling sick, and I remember, like we said, you know what if we try and get a massage to try and feel better, like try and recover. And then I went and had a shower. No, sorry. And then I was like, you know what, I'm not feeling well at all. I don't think I can even do that. So I decided not to get it. But then I changed my mind after I had a shower. And I'm glad that I did, because so we got two masseuses, two ladies that rocked up. So I ended up long story short, I ended up finding out that she's a Christian, because she started playing. She forgot to start the music, and then she was like, you know what? Oh, like, can I play some music? And then she started playing some music that was like a preacher in English. It's like, oh, are you Christian? She's like, yeah. It's like, oh, well, like, we're actually all Christian as well here. And then, like, I couldn't see her eyes, but I could tell from her voice that she was like, oh, no way. Like, she was like, oh, really? And keep in mind, her English was very, very, very minimal. So she started saying how, God is everything for her. She started to like open up a bit, just saying some things about her family, her struggles with her family, experiencing a lot of anxiety and stress because her family don't care about her. I didn't want to like dig too much into that. It's personal, but I could tell it was really, really big on her heart. Like, it was really affecting her, and once I asked her more about it, she was saying how like God is so important to her because he helps her through these things, and he's helped her so much, and he's the rock that she leans on, and the foundation for everything she does, even in her work and everything. So it was interesting because she was telling me about how she loves her family so much, to the point where, because in Indonesia, their culture is that the eldest child or children look after the parents. And Dana actually said the same thing to me. Their tradition is that the eldest looks after them and helps to like look after them. But then when the child gets married, I think he said something about the parents giving them a house if they can afford it. So, but anyway, so she had made a promise to her parents to help them to pay their rent. So she's working in the city, Seminyak, and her parents live in a village. They're very, very poor. She was saying how poor they were, that all they would eat is rice, like for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like, it was they live very, very poor, and she has like 6 other siblings. But she made a promise to them with her sister that they would share the cost of her parents' rent. And that was such a huge pressure on her, because for her to pay, and the rent for them was yearly for the village. And that was like, it came to like, she was paying, I think, like 400 like Australian dollars, the equivalent of 400 Australian dollars, which is 4 million Indian rupee, or something. So Indian. Oh, did I say Indonesian? Indonesian rupees. So that's like 400 Aussie dollars for the whole year, not per week or month, the whole year. And for her to work, she had to live in Seminyak to work 24 hours a day. She's pretty much on call. And this is like it was a reputable company, but that's just how they are there. Like, it's not like, like she literally said she has to pay for she called it a boarding house, but it's basically like a accommodation to stay there so that she can work any time of the day or night. And so she would stay there, pay for her rent, which is, I think it was like 7.5 mil, so it's like $750 a year. Yeah, $720 a year. And so she would pay that, and then on top of that, pay $400 a year for her parents' rent.
Yeah.
And then obviously you've got other expenses, like obviously normal expenses like food and drink and all that, transport, petrol, whatever. But even just those things were causing her so much pressure and stress because they can't afford it. Like they're getting paid peanuts. And I won't get into detail about how much she was making and everything, but just, that's just to put it into perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And from hearing that story, it was very admirable because she felt like her family didn't appreciate her or whatever
care about her. Yeah,
care about her. But the fact that she was still wanting to like she's like, I want to work to help them.
Yeah,
it was crazy. It's crazy because like if you look at everyone, I guess like everyone that was in Bali that we spoke to was all about like receiving money for whatever reason, usually selfish reasons. But for this, it was like, I'm really not even gonna, like, it's not for me, it's for other people that also hate me. Well, we don't know the situation, but it was just, that was cool because it was just, it's different sort of world, and it shows you what the love of Christ can do, right?
That's right.
It's like the love of money is nothing anymore because like she just wants to show her family that she cares for him.
Literally. And she was saying like, so by this stage we were literally using Google Translate. We ended up just stopping the mass. So I was just sitting there and just talking for like an hour and a half. And she said that they don't care about her, and she doesn't know how to go about dealing with it, but she made a promise to them that she was gonna keep to her promise. Which was, and I remember, like I said, like, that's very honorable. Like it was nice to hear that, and you're right. You could see that it's, maybe other people be like, you know what? Who cares? If you don't want to love me or care about me, why should I care about you? Because that's what the world teaches us, right? But no, she was like, I want to work literally 24 hours a day to look after them, to keep my promise.
So if you haven't been able to tell, the living situation is very different. They're like, their rent is what, $400 to $700 a year, I guess, for the average person. But even the average person probably struggles to pay that off. And
is that 400 based on this lady, or is that in general?
I was just saying, what?
Well, this one, she was paying it with her sister, so it's actually double.
Oh, is it double?
Yeah. Oh, okay. But that's a village, right? That's like a village far away. Yeah. Okay. If you're living in Seminyak, it's way higher. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, either way, they're not making much. Like, I remember I was, I had when was it? I think when I went to the supermarket, like alone, I had a driver with me, and he was just like, he was showing me how much he made for that trip. And it was like a 30-minute trip or something. It was a pretty long trip. It was like 2 kilometers away, but it was a 30-minute trip because of the traffic. And he was making like $2. And I was like, what the heck?
Was it a car or scooter?
It's a car.
In a car as well.
Yeah. And I was like, but this is not going to pay for his petrol. Like, this is wild. And he's just like, And he was, what was it? It was 9 hours in. He said he started at 6 a.m. I was messaging Mark at the time. He started at 6 a.m. and it was probably like, I can't remember what time. It was like 2 p.m., 3 p.m. or something.
Yeah, it was around 2 or 3 p.m. Yeah.
And he's like, I've probably made $20 today. Something like that. And you're just like, what the heck for like that many hours of work. So these guys, like, first of all, they don't get paid much at all. But they also constantly see people that have a bit more money spending money in these places that like are pretty expensive. Going to, like, I don't know, even some of them are working for these people. Like if we go to like a beach club or whatever it is, it's like there's workers there. I can't even imagine how much money they're getting. Like it's probably not much.
Like for people that don't know Bali, to put it in so you can have an idea of a beach club, it's literally a very, very fancy outdoor place with day beds in like pools, many, many pools facing the beach. You know, you order food that comes to your day bed, and you're just chilling there, soaking in the sun, swimming.
The service is like amazing.
It's amazing service, amazing. Like you don't feel like you're in Indonesia. Like it's amazing.
Yeah.
But then the people that work there, like, you know, they're in this bubble there, and then I feel like when they leave, or even when they're like, they won't feel like they're part of it. Like they feel like I feel like you'd feel like a outsider in that. Like this is not your life. Do you know what I mean? Like I feel like it would, like if it was me, it'd mess with my mind. I feel like, you know what I mean?
Sure. Look, it could either have like, I think I mentioned this to you, but it could have like one of two ways, I guess, where it's like the way they're living isn't fair because I'm putting so much work, not getting it. But it'd also be like they're paying my wages, sort of thing.
Yeah, and it could be a motivator, like to like, you know, I want to work towards this. Yeah.
So there is that, but I would probably guess it's probably the first one.
Yeah.
I guess maybe for us it's probably the first one. I don't know how they think or whatever.
But you know what? Having said that, like everyone was so nice. Yeah. Everyone there is so appreciative, so nice, and they, you know, like even though they're in this atmosphere where everyone's like, you know, rich for them, you'd never see them being like, you know, upset about it or like they worked like from their heart. Which is really cool.
Yeah, for sure. And the reason why I was saying all of this is because I guess just to say it very briefly and quickly is me and Marco, mainly Marco, was like, how can we help, sort of thing. And we're not just talking about Bali, but like in situations where this is people's lives. How, like, what approach can we take to help? And it's pretty hard because we were talking about it, and like I've been to Vanuatu for a mission trip, and we built a house for them there, and they were very appreciative. There's nothing like of an issue, but it's like when you expose like countries like this where they don't have, actually I guess they're exposed already, but like but if you expose people to, like, let's say a new technology, or you give them a bit of money or whatever it is, that thrill that they get from that is like they start chasing that, or they start like, it's like it's a very weird balance because you want to help them, you want to give, you want to do all this stuff, but you also don't want them to lose that, like, that sort of work ethic, joy, that kind of stuff that they have, which is the bad side of the Western world. It's like all the joy is getting sucked out of us because we don't even know what we're chasing, like all that kind of stuff. So we're gonna find that balance of like, okay, we want to help them, we want to like allow them to live comfortable lives, and then whatever, but we also don't want them to lose that culture and that kind of stuff that they have. And I found the reason why I brought up Vanuatu because we saw that a little bit. Like we gave them a little bit, but then they asked for more, and you're just like, oh, like I'm more than willing to give it to you, but it sort of opens your eyes, like, oh,
might ruin it.
It's like, okay, I'm gonna give you this. Are you gonna be content with that? You're probably gonna want the next thing, or the next thing, the next thing, until you get to a place where actually you probably won't even reach that contentment.
That's right,
because you're always chasing, and you can see in the world of Australia or any Western place that you go to. It's like the reason why the richest people aren't happy is because they're still chasing the next thing. And it's very interesting, right? Yeah. So Mark and I were chatting, like, how do we even help people like this?
That's the problem, because they're very, like, I'd say they're happy. Like they don't have real joy, but they're happy. Do you know what I mean? Like I remember, you know, with Dana, for example, when I was speaking to him, I asked him on a previous occasion, I was like, it's interesting because I asked him, are you happy? Would you say you're happy with your life? And that was when we invited him to join us for dinner and stuff. So we kind of, in a way, he hadn't been there obviously, but we kind of opened his eyes a little bit in that situation. But I asked him then, I was like, would you say you're happy with your life? And he said, yeah, right? But then the second time when we were in the car and I spoke to him, and I was like, I asked him again, and his response was a little bit different. He was he's like, yeah, like, my life is just, normal. Like
Sometimes sad,
sometimes sad, sometimes happy, sometimes up and down, but to him, his life was, I can't remember the specific wording he used, but like, as in, it's just normal. Like you go to work kind of thing, and, you go home, provide for your family, things like that. But he's, obviously his happiness was based on the circumstances he was experiencing or going through. Yeah. But that's the problem. Like I think they're happy because, they're working hard for their income. They're trying to provide for their family, and their culture is very family oriented. So yeah, but if you want to help them, like, it's hard because you don't want to, you don't want to change that culture that they have.
Yeah.
To chase other things,
Mm. Yeah, the interesting thing is like with Bali, because I've been to a few countries. I've been to a lot of Western countries, but I've also been to like Muslim countries. I've been to Vanuatu, where I don't even know what religion based, but where we stayed was very Christian. We stayed with a church, some random village. So I've seen a lot of the different places, and the happiest people that, like, the people that were probably filled with joy the most were the actual people in Vanuatu. Because Bali's a weird one, because I think you see people living in like poverty, and people always say, oh, they're the happiest people. But to be honest, and I know this might be just contradicting what you said, I didn't feel that in Bali. I didn't feel that people were very happy.
Like, let me clarify. When I said happy, I mean like they were, like, you look at them, they're nice, they're smiling, they're joking.
Oh, yeah.
They don't have that happiness, like joy kind of happiness, but they're like, they don't exactly walk around miserable.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you.
They still like they're working hard. They're trying to, trying to make some income and provide, but they're definitely not happy. Like, in the, genuinely.
Yeah, I think there could be like differing factors into that, and it could be because they're exposed to what they could have when a lot of other countries, African countries, and where I went to Vanuatu, because it was a very remote village that we stayed at. They're probably not like,
they don't know what they're missing out on.
Yeah,
yeah,
that could be a thing, or it could be because they don't have Christ, like truly. It's probably maybe a bit of both. Maybe it's very ignorant of me to say, probably, but I don't know. It's like, even with the masseuse, I didn't even see her. I didn't speak to her. Actually, I welcomed her, but that's it. But even with the masseuse, like the way that she was talking was like, you can sort of sense it's not about the money anymore. It's not about like, it's about helping my family, and I want to like she didn't directly say this, but she's like, I want to be a light to the family. Like that's what I was hearing when you were telling me this story. But like the conversation that you had with Dana was like, you literally spoke about money, right? And you said, do you think money would like make you happy? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay. I was very like that was the night where I was done. I was finished. So I was like falling asleep. Marco, like I had headphones in, falling asleep in the car. Marco taps me and he's like, you want to listen to this?
I'm like, you're missing out on a good combo.
Okay.
Save the sleep for later.
And I was like, I had things I wanted to say, but like I was like, I don't have the energy to say.
Yeah. And look, I mean, I was really tired as well, but it's like what we were talking about, like just seeing that, I just wanted to, I just couldn't not say something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, go on.
What was I saying?
Happiness. When I asked him, would money give you happiness?
The thing that came to mind was like, he's like, and I'm not, I don't want to sound ignorant or privileged, or I am privileged, but I don't want to sound whatever it is, arrogant and whatever. But when he said that, I started thinking about rich people. I'm like, man, it's like different problems, but there's not much happiness up there.
Yeah.
Like from what I can see, and even from where I'm at, like compared, like I'm much wealthier, um, in a yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
But like it doesn't. I don't know. My happiness doesn't come from the things that I own or
Yeah.
the things that I even do. Um, but it's just the happiest moments is actually, and I'm not even talking about joy,
Mm.
even happiness, because I know Christians have like it's like a godly joy, a godly happiness, and a worldly. But even if you think about worldly happiness, it's like all I need is like my friends. All I need is family. Like I'm not the happiest when I'm alone playing my expensive video games.
Yeah.
I'm not the happiest when I'm eating most expensive food.
Yeah.
I'm probably the happiest when I'm with people that I love, sort of thing. There's no money in that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So even if you take the God aspect out, it's like happiness, because they don't really know what joy is.
Yeah.
Or godly happiness. They don't know what that is, but even happiness itself, it's like in my opinion, you can't really find that in money. I'm sure it can help sometimes.
Yeah, it could be like a temporary
like
thing.
a dopamine hit or
yeah,
something.
exactly. Like it's temporary, and it's your happiness is then just guided and controlled by these temporary experiences, or of being able to buy this or go to this place.
Yeah.
Do you know?
And yeah, so there's that side of things. And me and Marco were like, how do we help these guys, and how do we help in a, I guess, a grand scale?
Yeah.
And it's difficult, but what I said to Marco is like, bro, like, actually, did I say that? I can't remember, but I was just like, what we're doing, like us being friendly to Dana, us welcoming him to like eat with us and enjoy whatever it is with us, like that is my way of evangelism. That is my way of showing him the love of Christ.
100%.
And obviously that comes with conversation, which you guys had that conversation. But like for me, and I use Matthew 25 again, but Jesus literally says you fed the hungry, you helped the sick. I'm probably butchering it. You helped the sick. You did like all these things. And then disciples, I think it was disciples, they're like, what? We never did that for you.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, but when you do it for other people, you did it for me.
Yeah.
And that's what I see that as. And so I went to a mission trip to Mongolia last year, and it was very, very good, very fruitful. We see a lot of people responding to Christ and all this kind of stuff, and praise God for that. But that I don't see that as where like my mission, and I see my mission as to actually help people, whether that's in Sydney, whether that's in Bali, whether that's somewhere else. So when we actually like to help people is it's weird because again you have to find that balance. But for me, and I think for you as well, helping people is our way of telling people that Christ loves them, because I think it leads to like, oh wow, these guys care about me. And I said to you, I'm like, Dane will probably look at all the people that he's driving, all the people that he's done this for, and be like, wow, this group is a bit different.
Yeah.
And why is it different? Well, let's tell you why.
Yeah.
And that's when it sort of comes into play. So look, Marco had a good conversation with Dana about Christ and belief, and maybe it's just this like the first seed that's planted. Maybe it's the like one in between. Maybe it's a bit of the water, or maybe it's the final thing that he needed. Like we don't know, but hopefully one day we can see him in God's kingdom.
There's definitely a seed, because like I noticed some of the things like I was asking him or explaining to him, he had no idea about. Like he had no idea about why Jesus came down and died on the cross. Like he had no idea about some of these things, and so I think that coupled with just showing them love, I think would really stand out, because like you think about it, this guy, he's booked out to almost the end of the year, he sees a lot of tourists, yet he still had never been to these places. So clearly not many people are doing this for him. So I mean, that's all you can do really. helping them and just showing them love and just letting God, work.
You know what's crazy about the conversation that you had was I was like, I don't know if maybe this was something that I just built up in my head, but it seemed like he didn't know who Jesus was. But he heard the story of someone dying and raising again. And he heard that story because I remember when he said that. He's like, oh yeah,
yes,
I remember hearing that story,
but didn't know the whole thing.
Yeah, I don't think he knew the name. He didn't know he didn't know why or what happened or anything like that.
The reason or anything. Yeah,
and it's just crazy. Like everyone in Sydney, Australia, has probably heard.
That's interesting.
Everyone has probably heard who Jesus is, or like even if they don't know the story or whatever, but they he didn't even know, which is wild to me. And I'm like, people like it's a 90% Hindu country, but like it's probably they just don't know. Like they've been probably like just by family they're Hindu, but like I don't like from what your conversation with, it's like they don't understand their religion. I'm not trying to be disrespectful at all, but that's what I was, maybe because I don't understand it, but it seemed like they didn't understand. All they believe is like you do good, you get good. Like, you get in return. You do bad, you get bad in return. They believe in reincarnation. And I think that's
pretty much it. I think that's like, because I asked him like, what do you believe in? And that's literally what he said. He said, if you do good, then they believe you'll be reincarnated, and that's it.
Yeah, and I think that like it's just because they don't know. That's probably what they've been taught. But again, like that's when we come into play. Like, what do we do now?
That's the thing, yeah.
And I know it's like a massive like mountain to sort of tackle and climb and do whatever. Like, but I'm sure we can do a little bit.
You know what's interesting? I just thought of. So, like, to give you guys an idea, if we backtrack a whole lot, after the first couple of days or so, whatever it was, a few days in, when we started to think about this, and one day, like I was just, it affected me so much. I was like so upset about it, and everyone had gone to bed, and Jonah and I were just talking for ages, just about this. Well, yeah, hey, and I remember feeling like it was such a big mountain, because like I was like, man, like these people grew up in this religion. 90% of the population follow this religion, right? It's like, what are the chances that, like, how do you even get through? Do you know what I mean? If they grew up with this, their whole life is around this, and they practice it, like, they go to the temple, they have all these offerings everywhere around Bali. So like, what do you, like, how? But then if you think about it, that's actually, it might be a good thing, because sometimes it's harder to reach people who have heard about it before and have all these misconceptions and all these, all these other people telling them lies about it, or, all these preconceived thoughts about it. So sometimes it's actually easier to reach someone like that who maybe has never heard about it properly, and then it can just like be like, oh, you know what? Okay. And then maybe that can, maybe that makes it easier for them to start just looking into it. And I think that's what I kind of, I just wanted to at least kind of put that idea in his head that there could be something else that you're looking for. That's not money. That's not wealth, but something that will actually bring you true happiness and joy. And it might not be something you've grown up with, just so that you can actually think about researching it and looking at it. So although, yes, it is a big mountain, I feel like there are pros to this. There are benefits of this demographic, especially because, you can help these people. It's not as hard to help these people because, they don't need too much. A small amount of aid from us is a big deal for them. It'll go a long way. And then coupled with the fact that a lot of them might not even know about this at all, about God at all, then it's,
Yeah, the cool thing is about this situation. Obviously, it's it's a very weird situation, and this is only Bali, which is a small place in the grand scheme of things. Like the whole world is struggling in some form.
Yeah.
But let's say like there was 5 of us boys, and we had one driver. Let's say we just spoke to this driver. We were very like nice to him. We were loving. We spoke to him about the gospel. Let's say there's a world where he actually like gets to know Jesus and he has a relationship with Jesus. Now, like us, we have done whatever. We met one person, we spoke to them, whatever. Like cool. We did the right thing, I would say. But you know what? We could be a possibility. So okay, now Dana knows Jesus. Now he can tell someone. One of those 90%. One of the 90%. And then from that, Dana tells that person. That person's like, "Oh wow, this is real." And then he tells one person, and it's just like just from you having that one conversation. And maybe this is my vision mind coming in.
Yeah.
But maybe from that one conversation, now Bali, rather than 90%, it goes down to 80% Hindu and 15% Christian, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, I think what our problem is when we want to do something good and we want to help people, we want to do something great. We always see it as, okay, I want to be like a CEO of a company or an organization, or I want to be like the Billy Graham of this generation or something like that. So we look at that and we're just like, well, that's going to be impossible. But what we don't see is like the millions of people that helped and just did what they were supposed to do, because that was their position on earth. And maybe they helped Billy Graham, or they actually who taught Billy Graham what he knows, or who actually planted the seed in Billy Graham, because technically they're to be like thanked, right? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we don't do it for the credit. We do it because we want people to know Christ. I think maybe we get it skewed a bit. Even like when me and you, we just want to help people. We just want to like help people have better living situations, or help them get better if they're ill or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That is doing such like something much bigger than what we can even imagine. Maybe not, but maybe. Like, we can't live in the what's the world? Like, we can't live in a world that we can only see.
That's right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You don't know what it leads to.
Yeah.
There is definitely a lot of possibilities in that. You know, it's I'll say it in a different way. When I was speaking to Dana, he mentioned that, you know, because like they make the majority of the income, if not all of it, from tourists. So imagine what happened in COVID.
Yeah.
Right? So tourism stopped completely, right? Now he was fortunate that he had people that, you know, from Australia, predominantly, that he'd, you know, helped there, driven around, that were able to help him, just, you know, send some funds to him to get through. But my point is that tourism is what provides for them right now, right? And that's not one person, that's everyone individually, but together as a whole. So it's kind of the same thing with this, that, you know, each person plays a part, right? It might be a small part, but it you know, but together as a whole, it would be a massive deal.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Even situations like that, it's like, let's say their rent is like $800 a month, a year. Sorry. Like, what is that? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, you can like pay that off.
Yeah, that's like an average, you know, week or less than a week's rent for us. Yeah. They pay it in a whole year. Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
it's like we can do that in a year. But like, I don't know what it is about us or whatever it is, but like, why don't we do that? is it because like I think there can be many different things. And I'm talking to myself, and like it's sort of giving me perspective of like how am I spending money? Do I need to buy that? Do I need to do that?
Yeah.
Do I need to?
I think that's what we were feeling there as well.
Yeah.
Like it's like I felt really bad spending money there. I mean, yes, you're helping. Like, yes, that's providing for their work and whatever. But I feel bad spending on myself there when they couldn't even have a proper meal.
But even with like Bali's very different, because like even when we're spending money, it's just going. A lot of the companies there are just Aussies coming there, building a business.
That's right.
And they just have these workers.
That's right.
So we're just making the rich get richer, really.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, the majority of the money goes to the companies, but it does obviously provide them a job.
Yeah.
However, it's not well paying.
Yeah.
But it's
interesting, and like you don't want to be like the joy suckers or the happiness like suckers where you're just like, oh, how dare you enjoy that? How dare you pay for those ATVs? Like like no, you're allowed to have fun. Like you're allowed to do
for
this
sure.
stuff.
And honestly, like I'd recommend people to go.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, tourism is what provides their jobs.
Yeah.
But try to help in some way as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's funny because sometimes we just like be bargaining for like $2 off.
Yeah.
And we're just like, really? What's the point?
We literally would look at each other and be like, why? Like, are you serious? Like, let's just help them out with this extra $2 or $5 or whatever it is. Yeah. It's not going to affect, us much, but it's a massive difference for them.
But by the end of it, we were tipping people and just like, take a long way. Okay.
Yeah.
It's funny, but
I think one of the reasons, like, if I reflect personally, I think one of the reasons, like, say we don't just send money there, is because I feel like it's different when you're there and seeing the impact that the assistance makes. Like I feel like, because now, if we tip someone, we know them, we know this is going to help them. You can see the joy that, like, the reaction that they get. So you can see it's making a difference. So sometimes it's hard when you don't see that, when you can't, it makes it you're less inclined to do that. So yeah.
It's an interesting trip, and I actually want to talk about like the missional heart, because Marco is 30 years old. Sorry to put you on this.
Retirement age.
And I don't know if you mentioned what you do, but pretty much his workplace, he helps people in very many different ways, and I think his whole life he's loved to help people. The problem is not the problem, but the difficulty is that having a passion of helping people, it's not a very sufficient way to live, because like how are you gonna, I don't know, get money? Like we all need to have some sort of income and stuff like that.
And you need money to help people in some ways, right? Yeah.
It's very difficult. That's my passion, and if I can help someone, then I'll do it. But it's hard to find a job where you're helping people like that and you have an income. So the question is, for those that have missional hearts, or hearts that I don't know, just want to help or whatever it is, do you have like a piece of advice, or like, I don't know, like things maybe that you think they should think about, or they should look into, whatever? This is literally an open ball question. I don't know if there's anything that you have to say, because this is, it's a difficult question.
Ways to help people?
Like, let's say for me, it's like I can work in IT, I can whatever, but it doesn't feel, what's the word? Doesn't sufficient rewarding, yeah. So I don't know what it is. It doesn't feel like I'm doing what I should be doing in some regard. Maybe that's just me being a bit hard on myself, or whatever it is. Maybe that's me having a skewed mindset.
Yeah, I don't know. Like say, even for me, like, we provide disability services, so you're definitely helping people. But even then, it doesn't feel like I'm helping in the best way. You know what I mean? For lack of a better word, like I feel like there's more we can do, right? So I don't know. Like I think for me, it's I'm at a point where sometimes you might have to, work in something because if you think about it, a lot of jobs, if not all jobs, you're helping people in some way. Even if it's IT, you're helping someone, solve a problem, do this and that.
Yeah.
But it's not helping in the most rewarding way or the most, most. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not
you
in
feel
the.
like you could be doing more.
Yeah, you feel like there's a lot more important things you can help with, right? But sometimes it could be a matter of still helping people in that way, and then using that to fund help in other way, right? Whether that be mission trips, whether that be sponsoring people, whether that be even like when you do go on holidays or things like that, to maybe go to places that you can do fun things like Bali, but where people there do need help, and you can use that opportunity to enjoy your time there as well, but also help people that were there. Like so for me, like for example with Bali, it was very satisfying and rewarding, not just because we had fun, but because we were able to actually see how people are living overseas in places where they are not as fortunate as we are, and then on top of that being able to do something about it, even as small as it was.
I remember because we did have this bit of this conversation, but you were in a place where you are helping people, and you were saying this, but you still have the urge and the passion to do more. And I said this to you, and I think God equips people. So I think in his life, he's been equipping you slowly through different things, from one thing to the next. And I don't think you've lost the passion, because you're always saying like, I want to do more. How can I be helping people more? But what I think is happening is that the passion is staying the same. Like the passion is not dying down or whatever, but your ability is growing. So the passion is just, it just continues on. But the ability to do more now is actually there. And then once you have that like experience or whatever it is to do more, and you start doing more, then you're going to still want to do more. It's honestly, this is going to sound so weird, but it's like chasing money. It's like, oh, I have money, now I want more money, now I want more money. But this is like the Christian, the good view of it.
Better cause. Yeah.
The good side of that chase, because you're not chasing like a dopamine hit. You're not chasing
something selfish,
like perishable things.
Yeah.
You're helping a thing that can change people's lives.
Yeah.
You're chasing a thing that glorifies God. I mean, the main thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's interesting because maybe people's way of helping is actually, and I always say this, but like, is working a 9 to 5 and doing whatever they're doing, and that's what they're called to do. Maybe it's actually making a lot of money and sending, I don't know, money to missionaries or help those from different countries and whatnot, whatever it is, right? For me, the reason why I'm asking this question is because that's where I'm at right now. Like I said, I could get into an IT job probably. I could do whatever else. I can go into study something else, try and find
different industries, whatever. Yeah,
literally the world is my oyster right now. But I love helping people, and that's probably where I want to go down, like that road. And maybe God is calling me to do something. But the toughest thing is like, how am I going to have a sustainable job or life or whatever it is at the same time? But I think to answer my own question is just, this is equipping me slowly. I just got to be ready. I just got to be willing and ready to be used. Whatever opportunity comes, just jump at it and do it.
And I think obviously praying about, like, asking God to use you and to see your heart and to give you that heart of continuing to want to help people. And because I believe everything, like you're saying, everything that God puts us through is for a reason, and He uses everything in one way or another for good. So I think, like, sometimes you really, like, you look to a goal or an end purpose, and you crave that. You want to reach that, but you forget that where you are right now is being used maybe for that, maybe another purpose. But I think, changing your mindset about, not specifically, but I mean in general, for people to, if they do want to help people, to maybe not just think of the traditional ways of helping people, helping people and glorify God in everything and every day, whether it's just saying something nice to someone, or not getting angry at something or whatever. At the end of the day, it'll glorify God in some way. It will show God's love in some way. And you never know, like, it can open conversations and doors. But yeah, I think it'd be interesting. Like I know we both think in this way. We both want to help people. We both want to, do that to the best of our ability. But I'm curious, what more people can do together. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder how many people who would watch this podcast actually have that same passion, and, maybe have ideas, or maybe they have things that they've always wanted to do to help people in some way that would be interesting to hear. So it'd be cool to hear about that.
Do you think there are a lot of people that do have like similar mindsets, similar goals? I don't know, similar hearts. That maybe are just a bit, like, maybe they're afraid, or maybe they just maybe they feel like they're not good enough to do it, or they don't have the ability to do it. Or anything? Do you think like this?
Well, it was a bit like us in Bali. When we saw the need there, the demographic there, we were like, well, at least I was like, whoa. Initially, I was like, what can we even do? Like, you know what I mean? But you can, like, so I'm sure, I heard this fact somewhere. I think it was in applicants to study medicine. When they ask them, why do you want to become a doctor? The first thing people say is, I want to help people, right? So I feel like people want to help. Like, a lot of people, have that desire to help people. Just different people have it to a different level and in different ways, right? I think, like, I want to help people in the most meaningful way that I can. It's not always one way, but I felt like in Bali there was a way that we could help them that was very, very meaningful, very, like, it's literally their livelihood. It's literally their life. You know what I mean? You're changing someone's life in that way. But I'm sure, just like how we felt, that it was such a big mountain that we're, one or two people, or even 5 people, like, it's in comparison, it's nothing. But it's like what we were saying before, everyone has a part to play. Everything you do makes an impact to some degree. And even though it might not seem like much to you, but that one person you helped, like, that could change their life, So for example, that the lady that was, that I spoke to, the masseuse, she, the conversation started because I'm like, when I found out she was Christian, I was like, oh, like, I'm Christian. We go to a church in Sydney. I showed her the page, and she liked it, and she actually subscribed as well. She wanted to listen to follow us online, to join us, and that's where the conversation started. And I think just even just that alone, because remember, even for her, like, we're saying there's only 2 or 3% of Indonesians being Christian. That's the same for her. Like, she would realize that the majority of people around her aren't Christians. The majority of people don't have that same, foundation. And so she could be feeling like a single person in this whole massive, arena or whatever. So just to be able to speak to someone else, who's a brother in Christ, a sister in Christ, even just that can make such an impact to her. Like she was in tears just by talking about things and listening to worship songs together and talking about church there and all that kind of stuff. Like without even helping her financially or at all, it made you could just see how much of an impact it made. And sometimes that's all God. I mean, that is all God's asking. Like that's what glorifies God. But if you can do more, then of course God's equipped you with with the ability to do more to help.
I like it because there's the perspective of like what you're doing now is good, and what you're doing now is helping people. And yeah, that's I think that's a good perspective to have, because I think I can lose that sometimes. The other side is, if this is my advice, and it's not the opposite of yours, but I think just take a leap of faith. And from what from knowing you a bit more over the past few years, you have done a lot, you've tried a lot, and you are okay if it doesn't work out. You're just willing to try. You're willing to just put your life on the line, put your neck out there. And I think that's what we all need to do. Just try. If we have a passion for something, go for it. If it doesn't work out, better that you tried than you didn't.
Yeah.
So if you are stuck in the I want to help people, but it's too difficult or it's too big of a mountain or whatever, try climb the mountain. Like, don't just half-heartedly try it, but try it, and put your desire into it. Something that I love more than anything is when I see people's passions burn. Like when they really do what they love, or they have a passion for something. That's something that I absolutely adore and love, because I'm like, man, they're not doing it for any other reason apart from there's they love it. They're not doing it for money. They're not doing it for clout. They're not doing it for anything else.
Yeah.
But they're doing it because they love it, and probably because God has put it on their heart to do it. So just go for it. And honestly, if I know you personally, tell me about it, because I'd love to help. I'd love to see if it's something that I could be a part of. That's a passion of mine. It's like bringing people's visions to life. I love doing that. If I have a vision, I'll hopefully bring mine to life. Yeah. But if someone else has a vision and I like it, then you'll do whatever you can to help. Eh? Yeah.
I think that's what I was saying before about I wonder how many people that watch this would actually have desire to help people, or maybe even have ideas that they might feel like they can't really do alone, but that with help of others, whether it's me and you or other people in their lives, that it can become a reality.
I think that there's a lot of psychology behind it. Maybe it's just a fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of just people not wanting to be involved, or I don't know, whatever it is, fear of a bad image sort of thing. Oh, you tried something. That I was afraid of the podcast is if it doesn't last, people are gonna be oh, you didn't try for long, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's still a fear of mine. If I end it tomorrow, people are going to be well, that didn't last very long. To me, it lasted very long because it was every week.
Yeah, there's a lot of work and time and all that.
But and I don't have any regrets. I don't know if I'm going to edit it. I don't anyway.
Are you saying you're going to end it before you publish this one?
After this, I'm done.
That was the last straw. Yeah,
it's just.
But it's
I think there's the main thing is fear, or even lies, and the devil's biggest tools are lies, and through lies he brings out fear. I think we just got to tell ourselves truths. We have this has been on my heart recently, but we have a place in God's kingdom. We just have to be in that place at the right time, and we have to do what is called to us. And what stops us frequently is the lies of the devil, the lies of the world, and the lies of ourselves as well, our flesh. And we just got to actually just reassure us constantly that We have a place in God's kingdom that we need to be actually building His kingdom up at the same time.
You know what's interesting? If you think about it, like, yes, we have this fear of failure. We have this fear of it not working out, or what people might think, or how it might affect our time and our whatever. But if you do have a passion for something and do have something on your heart, first of all, there's a reason you have that, right? But also, like, what's the worst that can happen, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is what I've always told myself, like, for the past whatever, how many years. It's like, what's the worst that can happen? As long as you're doing something that's right, that's good, right? Then, worst case, it didn't work out. Well, you tried to do something that was good and it didn't work out, right? It's not like you're trying to do something evil or something that's not good for people or whatever. Yeah. You're trying to do something to help people, for example. Worst case, you may have helped one or two people. You may have tried to help. At least you did something that was honorable. You did something that was for a good cause. Yeah. And then, even in that scenario, that let's say something you did try and it didn't work out, well, at least I can guarantee you'll learn some things from that. You'll learn. It might be just about learning to deal with the process of it, dealing with logistics, dealing with communication, dealing with people, time management. There's so many things you learn from different things that you do, and then it goes back to what we were saying before about God using the things you're going through to equip you for things coming, right? And so you might try one thing and it might not work, but maybe from this project or this thing that you did to try and help people, you learn a bit more about communication. Maybe from the next thing you try, you learn something about, doing marketing or computers, whatever it is. And then with everything that you do, God might just use all of that together to then prepare you for the thing that He wants you to do long term, or the thing that He really is preparing you for, right? So don't be discouraged when things don't work out. It just means that there's something else coming. You know what I mean? And you, like you said, I've tried a lot of different things, but in every single one of those things, you learn so much. So just instead of focusing on the fear and the failure that might come, focus on what you can learn from this and how you can actually help people, how you might be able to change someone's life, and let that be the goal, to show God in that rather than the failure, and focusing on that.
Yeah. Isn't it cool that we all have a role on earth? Like, all of us. And some of us, like, maybe we just don't do it. Maybe we just are afraid to do it. But we all have a role on earth, and that's why we're here. So use it. Like, use your time here on earth, whether it's a very temporary time, doesn't matter. Like, use it to make other people's lives not temporary. If that makes sense. How good.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I would say. Honestly, it's a short episode, but I'm tired.
You like it short and sweet.
That's right. Not the Jonah style. Yeah. Wait, is there anything else that you want to sort of close off with? Why is it so red?
I think that's a good ending thought. Like, to use the passion that God's put into your heart for good, use that to show God's love in any way that you can think, right? And whether it lasts a short time or a long time, just give it a go. And speak to us. If you have ideas of how to help people, speak to us. Very briefly, we were fortunate enough to be able to help some people there, whether it's with experiences or with food, with some money, with just sharing God. And it was so satisfying. Like, that was probably the highlight of the trip for me. Yes, I enjoyed doing all the activities and everything and relaxing and getting away, but just knowing that you were able to be used by God to do something so meaningful it's so rewarding. And I would highly encourage you to pursue that and to follow that passion.
Yeah. Amen. Thank you, Marco, for coming on. I know we just had a long trip, so I appreciate it. Thank you all for watching.
My pleasure.
Go buy some clothes at Jonah and the Cod.
Ooh.
Jonah and the Cod. JonahandthePod.com. Go follow us on jatp.apparel. subscribe on this channel. Like, subscribe. Wait. I don't know. Do whatever you want.
Do whatever you want.
But thank you all for watching and listening. Again, thank you for Marco. Thank you, Marco. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time. And peace.
See ya.